Thank you all for joining us for our Performance Creative Brainstorm. We have the wonderful Toby and Raph who are going to be teaching us how to create a growth flywheel for men. Now, we do want this to be a very interactive session, so please do post questions as we go, and I will make sure that they are answered, and we will make sure as well that we have 5 minutes at the end for anything that hasn't been covered. So I'm expecting at least 28 questions, 30 questions, one from everyone, including yourselves. So without further ado, Toby and Raph, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'll quickly introduce myself, and then Raph will quickly introduce himself. And then I'm just going to set the scene for this session and this flywheel of what we're trying to create, and we'll go from there. So I'm Tobias. I am the founder and CEO of Catalyst, a performance creative agency, which essentially specialize in content creation for ads, as well as the data side behind it, so that we can constantly produce winning ads over and over again and iterate on them. And essentially the goal is month-on-month profitable growth for businesses. That is me, and this is Raph.
Perfect. Hey everyone. Yeah, my name is Raph. I'm the founder of AdManage and previous head of performance at Zoe. And yeah, a lot of the things that you will learn today will come from a lot of that experience from, taking Zoe to literally zero ad spend in the UK to one of the top D2C at that time, and all the things I learned and how to create, really good ads and good systems to put in place to be able to produce that week on week, month on month, and keep the growth going. So yeah, sit back, ask questions as we go. We want this to be as interactive as possible, and we'll ask you questions. So feel free to also unmute yourself when we ask questions too.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you, Raph. So quickly setting the scene, what we're trying to showcase in this session is how both Raph and I use a myriad of different techniques to constantly create winning ad concepts, upload them, learn from them, and rinse and repeat, so that we are growing every single month. It looks a little bit like this. So there are 3 key data points that we're going to go into, which essentially drive this growth. One of those is internal winners, which is super simple and basic. I'm going to showcase in a second, and you'll all know this. This is the basic one: what's working in your ad account, and helping and making sure that that is included in your brainstorm session, so you know what's working, and that sort of helps lean into when you come up with new concepts. That second piece is then this deeper data report. So there's a few different things we're going to go through. Raph is going to showcase a version of his, I'm going to showcase a version of mine, and the naming conventions that come alongside that. So instead of just looking at your sort of top 3 ads that are working really well, like we're doing over here, we're also looking at what's working across the account as a whole, what asset lengths, what styles, what creative pages, what problems, what solutions, everything from hair color to product type, all these different small nuances that are coming through that account as a whole as well. And then that final piece of data that we bring into our sessions is external winners. Ras built a really great program called AdScan that he's going to walk us through in a moment, and essentially allows us to find external winners, both relevant and that feed into our brainstorms. You can see that I've collected a load here on the side. Once we have those reports and those insights, we can go into a brainstorm session. Now, for some people, some brands, that's weekly. For some, it's every 2 weeks. For some, it's every month. Depends on the scale of your account. Typically, if you're spending about 100 grand a month, you're doing that maybe once a month. If you're spending $250,000, you might be doing it twice a month. If you're spending more like $500,000, you might be doing it every week. In these sessions, the point of them, and we're going to go through one today, is we are going to come up with ad concepts. So we look at all that data, and then we build out hook, problem, solution, call to actions, and then we come up with ideas of these scripts or statics from there. From then, they obviously get scripted up, turned into real ads. The creative is produced, whether that's done internally or through agencies or whatever it is. You produce that creative, and then we put them live with deep data naming conventions, and they are launched, using a rather helpful platform that Raph has built, which he's going to walk us through then and there. And once those are launched, we continue. And once you have that data after 7 days or 14 days or after a month, we do it all again. And so we're constantly learning, creating, launching, learning, creating, launching in a flywheel effect of ever-improving creative, which allows us to do that. Any questions there? This is the concept we're going to cover today. Great. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about these 3 key things that are going to come into this, which is the reports. Raph, why don't we start with the most easy one, which is probably just internal winners. Now, everyone can look at their ad account and see what is and isn't working. There is a wonderful program, which Raph's going to talk us all through, called Ad Manage, which has a statistics page, which has an auto reporting dashboard. Raph, I've already got one up.
Yeah, if you want to share, or just go to that tab, and then I can talk through it.
So this is for a company. Now, this is an eBuyer only because, just another thing, we've had a guinea pig brand come forward today to be the target of this session, so we can all sort of focus on one thing. This is a different brand I'm just showcasing now because they've got a bit more creative diversity going on at the moment.
But yeah, basically, what's really important when, working with your team and creative, and making creative, either weekly, ideally weekly, is you always want to be looking at what's working for you. That's probably like some of the top quality data you can look at. And yeah, this is just a very simple way that you can share with your video editors, your internal creators, with like an easy share link that will just basically show the top ads by either ad spend or CPA or what metric you want, and you can preview it in the same thing, so you don't have to share like Facebook ads login or anything like that, and it just keeps it very simple, and you can check this super easily. So it's just a matter of combining some of the Facebook data and like the creative visualization as well. So really helpful. You can quickly just check this on like what's currently working, last 7 days, last 30 days, whatnot. But
the
yeah.
best thing I've found about this is the fact that you can just press play on the videos. Before using this, if we had to make a Google Doc, you'd have to just screenshot the video and then a link to it. And so with this, if you're just showcasing it to the team, they can just press play.
Something just came across my desk.
It's makes it all so much quicker. And once again, you can see all those key metrics there: CTR, hold rate, hook rate, CPA, all these things, and then filter through. So it's just a super easy one-stop shop to look at those top-performing creative across the board. So we like to bring that in to all sessions, and obviously this auto updates. You've got a link that you can share it there, so you can check anytime. So just that super easy first step to see what's working in the account from the top line. That's part 1 of this, just looking at top line internal winners. The next one are these deeper dive reports. Every brand does something different. You probably have a growth manager, or you are the growth manager and you produce these reports, or whoever it is doing them, whether it's the agency or yourselves. Everyone does them slightly differently. Raph's got an example. I have an example. I do something like this. So each week or whenever we go through, we look at the key insights. We look at how much creative we need at the moment. We just go through top ads that are performing well, ones that are doing really well from a hook rate, but maybe not a good CPA, ones that are doing well in terms of asset length, and we just bring in all those reports. So a bit of a deeper dive look at what's working. We also bring in, just quickly on my side, these naming conventions, which I'll talk for a bit more later, but anytime we launch an ad, we put in all these nuances: creator age, gender, ethnicity, asset length, style, hook, problem, solution. And then at the start of these sessions, we'll talk through, hey, look, assets between 20 to 30 seconds are getting marginally worse CPA than assets from 30 to 45 seconds, which would be making assets that are 30 seconds long. And talking about the problem of hair growth is more impactful than talking about the problem of, say, my overall health. And in terms of age, actually, it's the age range of 40 plus that's performing better than the age range of 20 to 30. So all these sort of micro bits of data across the whole account is being pulled in here. And so we look at those nuances. We look at the names of different creators that are performing better as well. So I bring in all that. That's one way we look at it, but obviously everyone's different. You will probably have your own ways of reporting. But I would just recommend, if you're doing reports and you have a regular reporting cadence, to bring it into these sessions to set the scene at a wider scale. Raph's got one who's going to walk us through.
So on this section, I love to do retros, usually monthly. This is just a super basic example, but yeah, essentially why you want to do retros is on the week-to-week cadence. You can see, cool, what are the top winning ads last 7 days. You can make iterations on that. But what you really want to find out is actually what are the winning like formats and concepts slash ideas that work for your brand. And sometimes you need to zoom out to really like learn that. So this is something really helpful to do with your team, where essentially you run through some of your top ads, for example, and some of losers as well. For example, if you do a lot of like testing and some had some potential but didn't work, you want to get like as many kind of different ads that you've tested and really look at it in this sense. So what I would do here is, try to make it a really like engaging session with the team, making sure it's a lot more discussion than presenting. And based on like the benchmarks for the ads, CPA, CTR, like kind of the critical ones that you can like influence most easily with when you're iterating on ads, and you basically get the team or agency to guess in the session why they thought that this ad worked. And then for whoever's like leading this, you do the work beforehand on why this worked. This was a bit of a harder example, but it's just a very bottom of the funnel direct one. But for video, you can kind of say, okay, why was that initial frame either good or bad? What could you have changed? And you kind of come up with a lot of ideas that you can either use for variations. But the key aspect and like this key ad learning part is there's two main ways I see of making winning ads. One is a format. For example, this one app I've been working with, one of the formats that we've seen work really well, and the psychology of it is seeing someone and then going to interrupt them, and you kind of get that anticipation and that like tension of like, oh, what's gonna happen in this video? Like I kind of want to know like why it's being interrupted, and you go directly into the relevance for the product. You try to get a good background, but that was a format of like, oh, okay, someone going to interrupt someone was working really well. And then you look at what are the ideas that were working, and you essentially, so for like what hooks were working, and essentially once you have those two like streams, you can use the same format and then do like different location, different idea, because you already have a sort of like benchmark of a format that has worked. And then similarly on the like idea side, you can take the like ideas that work and try different formats, and you kind of just increase your creative win rate in that way by looking at it in that sense. And you can really get these insights by doing a whole like creative retro on your ads on a like longer time frame. So yeah.
Fantastic. So one of the things, obviously this session's only an hour long and we have quite a lot to cover. Everything we've just discussed and fired through right then, very much a discussion point to go back and forth and get everyone involved thinking about when you have more time. So you've gone through what's working top line. You've gone through your actual sort of deep dive and you've had that discussion, however you might want to do it. And then the last piece of the puzzle before we start looking at actually coming up with those ideas is external insight. So it's all very well knowing what's working internally, but what you can end up doing if you're just looking at that internal data is creating the same stuff over and over again. So the final piece of the puzzle that we use to sort of really polish off the start of this flywheel is external winning ads. Now, I've put a collection together here of some external ads, which we're going to use in the brainstorm in a second. And they're really, really great examples of different types of ads from across the space with a lot of variety in them. But before I go into it, it's worth explaining how we find them. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to Raph.
Cool. Yeah. So this was, a problem I had maybe like 2 or 3 years ago where, as Toby was saying, you look at your ads and you kind of get in this like local maxima of where your performance can reach because you're making similar ads, similar concepts. And yeah, you really want to find like inspiration that's actually worked for other brands because you're essentially using their ad spend, their testing to shortcut your way to a new winning ad. And yeah, so had this problem. You look at a lot of like big Facebook ad libraries, and you kind of don't know like which one is working. So yeah, me and my brother, we built this tool to essentially solve this. And in the EU, you can see basically anybody's ad impression on every single ad. So here's just like a quick example of what I would do for when looking at a competitor. I'd get them in Ireland or France or Germany, one of the big EU markets, look at their ads there, and basically just click the check spend for all EU ads. This is with the AdScan Chrome extension, and then this will basically check all the impression and estimated spend, and it'll rank them automatically, just like you saw, on which one is the top spender. So then now I'm like, okay, this is their top static, and I've actually spoken to Huel before, and they like also had confirmed it. It was quite funny, but yeah, this I'm like, okay, cool, this is a winning ad. I'll just save it, and then I can basically create a board of ads that have actually had more backing. And then the more you do that, the more you're data driven in that sense, the more winning ads you can make. All of this is all, how do you create more winning ads? And I've also created a board as well that I'll share with you guys at the end of the session. But these were all ads that are in the last month that I've seen as inspiration as well, that you can use for your future upcoming ads. So I'll share this at the end of the session. But yeah, that's a very quick like use case of AdScan. And then we also solved the problem where is this, so that the extension works really well on the EU ad libraries. However, a lot of us might be in the UK, or even like US brands spend a lot. So we also have this this tool that will, if you send like an Instagram ad when you see it to the AdScan Instagram page, it'll save it automatically to your account, and it'll get the estimated like spend and likes and views and all of that. So it's really good if you have like one or two competitors that you like really want to know their top ad. Go on their website, get retargeted by their ads, and just send like the first like 5 ads that you see, and then you'll be able to find out their winning one. So really like good to get the best inspiration. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we've got those 3 pieces of the puzzle all together. By using AdScan, we complete the process. And typically what I'll do when I run these brainstorms is I'll go on AdScan beforehand, and I'll go through and I'll locate a load of winning ads from across the space, some relevant and many not relevant to the brand as well. So if it's a cat food brand, I'm not just going to look at other competitor cat foods. I'm going to look at all across the space and see what they're doing. So we've used AdScan, we've used the top line report and the in-depth report, and we've got a really good idea of what's working for us and what's working externally. What we tend to do now is we run this brainstorm, and I love to run it with as many people in the company as possible. So when I run this for my clients, we get the brand team in, we get the growth team in, and everyone has different opinions. Typically the brand team, or if you bring in like a CMO or a founder, they really want to protect the brand, and they're like, oh, we don't want to do all this like strange stuff like burning things and things like that. And then if you bring the growth team, they just want to get good results. And so it creates a really nice yin and yang, getting more people into this session, so that you get that sort of push and pull on performance first ideas, but still being brand safe. And you tend to come to a nice middle ground there. So we get everybody to join, we set the scheme of those reports, and then we start the brainstorm. So how this typically works is I'll set a 5-minute timer at the top start of the screen over there, and everyone will watch through these ads, and then we'll ideate hooks. I want people to come up with opening concepts of the ads. The reason we do this is because Meta is such an easy platform to skip through. You just keep scrolling. So you want to produce something that's got visual stimulation to stop people and get them to watch it. So we do all the hooks, and then typically in a longer session, we would discuss them, and I might say, hey, that's actually a better problem, or call to action, blah, blah, blah. Or a brand person might say, hey, that's off brand, we would never do that. So it's a good time to discuss, and then we flesh it out with problems, solutions, and call to actions. So it's always great to have the brand person in there, or the whoever, or product person, as many people who know as much about the product as possible. A problem might be something as simple as I couldn't find a place. I was wasting so much money find this elsewhere, blah, 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 and then the solution. But then my mate told me about this company, and they are X, Y, Z, and now I feel ABC. And then call to action, trust me, it's a game changer. Check them out today. It's a pretty simple flow, and essentially we populate hooks, problems, solutions, call to actions. We discuss, bit of back and forth, and then we build them out down below. So we have that hook, that problem, that feature, that call to action, the copy, and the visual alongside. In these sessions, we're not trying to write like the whole script. We're just getting an idea, and then people would go away and script it up off screen, and then you'd match with creators or send it to your internal people who are producing it internally, and you produce it like that. But from this session, we come up with a framework with all that inspiration. But what actually, before we do that, the last thing that we're going to bring in, which really helps with the problem bit, is a new product that Raph built, which is really cool. And essentially what it does is it scrapes through all your Facebook comments. It will say, it will show you, all the comments that you're getting, and you can filter by most interacted, most liked, most replied to, most negative, most positive. And it's a really good way to get inspiration for problems and features. Typically, you'll get people asking questions like, would this, so these are some comments from a hair care company. So they're asking, top comment, loads of interaction, is would this work on postpartum hair? Straight away, that's a question a lot of people are engaging with. Do we bring that in as a problem? If we're creating our ad for hair care and we can see people asking about this, do we say, I was suffering from postpartum hair loss, then I heard about this product? So this is a really great way to start informing by using your own data that already exists. People are commenting these questions, these issues they're having, and that can feed into it there, which is really great. So that's all built into Raph's dashboard as well.
I'm actually really curious. When's the last time like anyone has checked the comments on their ads? Like if you want to just like type it in like a week ago, a month ago, no wrong answers here. All the time. Nice. Yesterday. All right.
Fair play. That's quite good. Obviously, all the people who aren't doing it
Weekly.
Well, that's good. Well, this would make your life a lot quicker for checking the ads, because you can just filter nice and easily. But that's good. I'm glad you're doing it, because that can feed into it as well.
You get some golden insights. And also it's how your potential customers also write, which is really important for like scripting and copywriting. You want to emulate how they speak as best as possible. So it's as relatable as possible to them. So that's like another really good like tip. Even not just Facebook, but I saw Marilyn put like Trustpilot reviews. For example, at Zoe, like one of our winning copy things was also looking at this website called Mumsnet, and people were referring to the gut health test as a poop hammock. And I was like, that is such a good like word on how to do it. So there's always look for how people are talking about your brand as much as possible. Scrape as much of that, and then you can use that as well as prompts in any like LLM kind of tool as well.
A few questions there about what this program's called. We're going to link to it all at the end. It's called admanage.ai, but we'll send links at the end so you can check it all out. Okay, so we've got all these data sources. Now it's time to actually get creative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen, and I'm going to link this brainstorm in the session here in these comments so you can all open it up. And what I want us to do is watch through these external ads here. Don't watch them all the way through. Just watch the first 5 seconds to get an idea, and then I want us to write scripts hooks accompanying it. We're going to do it for a specific product, just so that we have something for us all to focus on. eBuyer have very kindly offered to be our guinea pig for this session. So I'm going to let Caroline just quickly set the scene of what eBuyer is, but just from my side, what we want to come up with here in this ad concept is we are selling eBuyer as a whole, not necessarily a computer part. So what we're going to do is come up with hooks and scripts specifically around, I was wasting so much money buying this computer part and this bit from all over the place, and it was all arriving at different times. But then my friend told me about eBuyer, and I could get everything to build my PC all in one place. That's sort of the concept that we're going for. But I'll let Caroline quickly jump in there as well.
Hey everybody, so I've come in to kind of help eBuyer improve their performance. as a freelancer, and so I don't know, probably most of you are maybe a bit young to be familiar with eBuyer. They've actually been around quite a while. They're basically like computer, essentially like mostly a reseller, so they sell products from other brands, laptops, PCs, printers, etc. They're also like quite a big part of their business is selling components, so for you to build your own PC or laptop. So they're quite popular with gamers who will kind of build their own machines as opposed to buying kind of off the shelf because they know exactly what they want in terms of their components. And they do have a couple of own brands as well. So one that's like a business PC. They have quite a lot of B2B business as well. So one's like a business PC brand, and one is a gamer PC brand called AlphaSync. So the challenge for them is like you can buy their products elsewhere. A lot of it's about price, obviously. A lot of it's about service and being able to get everything people need on eBuyer. But it makes it quite challenging to stand out, where like, you know, a lot of their market might be people who might go to like Curry's PC World, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's quite challenging as opposed to like a very unique product like say Zoe.
Great, thank you so much for that. Okay, so I'm going to share this all for you now. It would be absolutely great if we could all jump in. We should be able to have an open session here. So I'm just chucking this in the chat. If you could all have a go at opening that and make sure you can get in, that would be brilliant. And then we're going to locate ourselves here. Feel free to turn off your cameras, your mics. Watch through these ads as examples. And then when you get these ideas, write them over here. Okay, so I might watch a video like this. It's someone that says my hair, and it's showcasing that they're losing more and more. I might go over here and I'm going to write, the visual is post-it note that reads my money, and the verbal overlay is I've been wasting so much cash buying computer parts from dozens of different vendors. And that's the opening hook. So it hits the problem, but it's also something visually stimulating, and that's been brought in by looking at external ad, which has nothing to do with eBuyer, but it feeds that concept. So we can see here there's tons. Don't watch them all the way through because they are so long. The only one I would recommend maybe watching all the way through, I always use this ad as an example. It's a really great example of an ad that follows this flow. It's got a great opening visual.
This is the
Someone
best.
pouring something over their face, going to stop me in the tracks, and then it's problem, I struggled with XXX, and then it goes to solution. My friend told me about this product. It is ABC. Now I feel XYZ. Go check them out today. It's a really nice example of an ad following that flow of hook, problem, solution, call to action. But otherwise, let's watch them all, give them a little go, first 5 to 10 seconds, give them a watch, and then come over here and just write down a hook idea. It can be visual, it can be verbal. Just have fun with it. Try and get a couple down if you can, and then we'll go from there. Typically, we'd have this for longer. We do it about 10 minutes, but just because there's quite a lot going on in the session, we're just going to do it in 5. Okay. Everyone got access? We've got about 28 people in the session. Looks like it. I'm going to start a 5-minute timer now. Watch through, write some hooks, and we'll go from there. Okay, gang, pens down, pens down. Look at that. Fantastic. Tons of stuff straight away. Once again, typically, if this was a full session that you might run with your internal team, or you're running with us or whomever, there'd be a longer length of time spent on actually doing this ideation. We're just sort of speeding through it today because we've got lots to cover. But hopefully that gives you an idea of that initial phase of the hook brainstorm session. Typically, what we would do now is someone, whoever might be in charge, whether it's you, your VP of growth, your ad buyer, or your agency, whomever, go through then and we talk through these initial hook concepts. And it's a really good time in the session to sort of iron out issues, good and bad. So for example, we might go through here, and this initial one of burning a post-it note, I might say, oh, this is going to work because I've seen it work really well in this ad, which has got a really high hook rate and loads of spend. But the brand person might say that doesn't represent our brand. And so we would say, we might put a little something like this saying, actually, no, we can't run that, even though it's a good concept. Or we'd have that discussion and I'd say, oh, no, we should really push it through and let's test it, blah, blah. But then we'll go on through. We might see some of these might actually be better, as a problem. So, not being able to find parts quickly and missing XXX because of it, maybe that's better as a problem for later on in the video. And so we'll walk through all of these, and it becomes a really good discussion point to say, hey, this is going to be good, this is going to be bad, and people can jump in and out and saying what they like. For today, we'll probably skip past that just because there's a few things to cover. But essentially, there's tons of great ideas here, some really cool ones. Free secret for a stress-free life as a gamer, fantastic, and some really strong visuals in here as well. I mean, Raph, I don't know if you've seen any that really shoot out at all to you.
Let's see. I mean, gamer angle is good. You kind of have that persona you're talking to, like a specific audience, which is great.
I love this top one here, smashing or sawing a computer part as a really strong opening visual. Could have just got it on eBay. I think that's a really strong. We always see that some sort of violence does really well as an opening hook, or it's destroying something like that. So that's really cool. More like that, I'd love to see. Or does your computer sound like this? That's really good as well. Some sort of struggle issue, things like that. So we ideate. Oh, sorry, someone said something.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So we've ideated these hooks. Typically what we do next is we come up with the problem and the solution and the call to action. So, we've come up with an idea, maybe it's this one here, we got smashing, throwing something apart, and then we've got a problem. I was never able to find, parts for my computer that were good quality and arrived quickly. I ended up building this shoddy machine that cost me thousands and doesn't perform. That might be your problem that you would say. It's all I, individual. And then you'd bring in a solution, which might be something like this, But then my friend told me about eBay, or one of the things I really like, which is, but then I saw eBay going viral on TikTok. It probably isn't going viral on TikTok, but that's fine to say. No one's going to create that fake virality. So I had to check it out. They are XYZ and do ABC. Now my gaming PC is 1, 2, 3. You can add all those extra bits later, but you get the idea. And that's the solution. And then you might add just a pretty simple call to action. Typically, I like to look at conversion rates on ads, and ones with really good conversion rates tend to have very good solutions and call to actions. And so when we're coming up with ideas, we might look back at those ads that have got good CVR. This has been a game changer. Go check them out below. Obviously, you probably get more exciting CTA than that, but that's the idea. And from there, we have the framework of an ad, which has essentially a problem, a hook, a problem, a solution, and a call to action. So we go down there. In the session, if there's time, you might work out the visuals alongside. So you might just showcase bad laptop, PC. Maybe you throw some pound notes in the bin, for example. and then maybe your show website, show product arriving at door, show build-in PC, and then we have creator winning at game and dogs the camera and points to link below. And there we have essentially the framework of an ad. Now it feels rough, but for us what we like to do is we then go off screen, and in our own time we go away and we turn them into real scripts. We'd send them over to brand or legal, depending on the company, for approval, or medical, and they would make the appropriate edits or request changes. And then from there, every company is different. Some have internal creative producers, some have agencies, some use Twirl, all over the place. We, for example, have about 7,000 tried and tested content creators that we use, and so we'll sort of put the brief out to the creators will come forward, you put them to the brand approve the creators they want, and then we send them out to those. So once we have that concept of those scripts, we match it with someone who's going to produce the content, and then we go from there. That's essentially the concept of the hooks, and how we then build it together with problem solutions, call to actions to come up with those scripts. Then it gets produced, and then we want to put it live. And there's two key ways about this. One is what Raf's going to cover with Ad Manage, and one, very briefly, I'm just going to cover with naming conventions. Most brands have existing naming conventions that they use. Some are very complex, some are very simple. I like to use really, really deep, boring name conventions for all those data insights which I told you about before, where you can have a look at stuff like asset length and style and problem and solution and creator age, these things. So if you want, you can ping me a message afterwards and I can send you a template for this, but I use naming conventions like this, where we have date, name, product, format, asset length, style, benefit, problem, source, is it whitelisted, is it native, creator name, creator age, discount if that's mentioned, and specifics to the product. So this is a hair care company, so it's hair type, hair color, hair length, accent, aesthetic, are they tattooed, are they whatever, but you might make it about the product, whatever it is, and landing page. Shoots it all out, and then it's linked up with Supermetrics, so it pulls through all this data, auto-updating, so it feeds back into that data loop. So once you've uploaded them, after 7 days, you've got all that data, and you can feed into the next brainstorm on all those intricacies. So you've ideated those ideas, you've produced the ad, and then you've named them, and now all you need to do is upload them. For that, you could spend ages uploading them, or you could do what Raf's about to tell you.
Yeah, just quickly before going into that, I think another big benefit of the brainstorm and how it's split out with these sticky notes as well is you can easily, well, one is you get ideas from as many people as possible, so it's not just in your mind, and everyone can have good ideas. But number two is it's really, really easy to create variations with this setup, because it'd be oh, I can just grab this one and swap it in here. And this allows you to basically increase your chance of making more winning ads because you're having more shots on net. So that's just one thing I wanted to add on that. And then, yeah, in terms of the uploading and launching, so yeah, this was a problem for us at Zoe and other companies as well that I've spoken to. But basically, yeah, me and my brother, we built this thing, Ad Manage. It's super, super simple, straightforward, where you can either get your video editor, your creator, your creative strategist, whoever it is, even your media buyer, they can essentially just drag and drop all the files in here. So if I do an example where I will upload a couple of ads here, I just do this, and anyone else can do this. It's basically combining Google Drive and Facebook ads. And then what I would then do is head over to this launch tab and essentially select the campaign or ad set that I want to launch to. I just go here, select the ads. You can do as many as you want that is allowed into the ad set, and then boom, I would just click launch. You can select different ad copy, automatically create like AI variations on the copy to continually find you the best like copy. And if you're like either e-com or lots of different products, you can select different like templates that you use for yeah, different products. So it's basically streamlines the whole process of uploading and launching to Facebook. And you know, all the like really like top advertisers do a really high volume of ads. It allows you to scale your account more and therefore grow the business. And this, yeah, basically becomes more a pain. So then, yeah, you just click launch, and that's it. Simple as that. Yeah, it's been a super useful tool for us.
For me, it's been incredible as someone who owns an agency and scales lots of accounts. You know, in this modern day and age where a lot of it's ASC driven and it's broad, really the value that you're bringing to brands is creative strategy and data, and it's not, you know, complex ad uploading. And so having something like this means that it takes a load of time off of really menial tasks like uploading ads that we can then put straight into developing creative strategy and doing those big deep data reports so we can actually lead on that creative flywheel. And so just having that platform where it takes all the stress out of ad uploading just means that we can really, really focus on driving month-on-month results rather than wasting time uploading ads. So I'm conscious we want time for the end to ask questions and stuff like that. So I'm just going to speed it up. So obviously this has been a pretty condensed, abridged version of this flywheel effect. But what we've been through here is we have the internal basic reports, and we have the deeper dive you know, reports which you might be done by you guys, or maybe if you have name conventions, metrics dashboard like we do, something like that to feed into it. You've got those external winners which you've all watched, and you feed that all into a brainstorm where you come up with hooks, problems, solutions, call to actions, and then you brainstorm like that, and you all discuss it. Obviously, we didn't really discuss it in this session because there's 30 people, and nobody really knows the brand too much, and we haven't got that much time. But when it's all your internal people, it's a great opportunity for you all to chat about it, go back and forth, you know, have that push and pull around those ideas. You go away from this, you script up the creatives in full, you get them approved by legal or medical or whatever your brand requires for that. You produce them, whether you're producing them internally or you're using UGC content creators or what have you, and then you name them with these super long, boring naming conventions to get data like that. And then you use Ad Manage or whatever you might be doing to upload them. And then they go live, and then you rinse and repeat. And so you can really focus your time and your growth for Meta on essentially week on week, month on month iteration and learning, so you constantly create ever improving performance marketing ads. And that's the performance first creative flywheel. Great. Okay.
Thank you so much, Toby and Raphael. Wow, my head is slightly spinning. I'm glad that we're going to have a recording of this so I can go back over it. Some questions. We've got one from Tom. Tom, this idea session pushes a lot of creative production into the problem solution format. How would you adapt this flywheel to encourage creative diversity and new formats, including short form, static, or even more top of funnel education humor angles? Great question, Tom.
Absolutely. So for me, what I use, obviously each brand's slightly different. I love to start with the problem solution format because it's so easy to grip onto, but typically these sessions develop a lot over time. And when you have data from the ad account, you tend to go into what's working and it changes. It's more guidelines than actual rules. It's a very useful format to help ease people into it, but you can chop and change as you go. The naming conventions, for me, are a really good way to understand on an account level what is working. Is it that format? Is it that shorter form? Is it static? And we just change and move around from there. It's easy as just renaming what ideas you're coming up with.
The way I had solved this, like for in-house, was essentially sometimes constraint can be good for creativity, and it makes you really think like how can you make it work within like a constraint. So what I would do when I'm seeing like haven't had a winner in like a week or two, is I would set a theme for this brainstorm, and be like, cool, this is the theme. We're gonna try to generate things that are along this idea. So if you want to do like this week we're only trying to come up with stuff for top of funnel education, for example, and you'd set that as a theme and you generate a lot of ideas. I think the point to like what Toby was saying is most like winning ads are actually this like problem solution format, the ones that Meta prefers and pushes the most and actually converts the most. And that's kind of why that's like a really strong starting point, especially for anyone who hasn't done these sessions or who are new into coming these sessions. Like absolutely start with that one. But then yeah, after you get more reps in doing it, you can set like a weekly different theme based on, you know, any kind of thing you've seen externally.
We've got 2 more questions that have come in. Keep them coming. So from Louise, from the brands you've worked on, have you found that video formats have always been successful? We've tested various styles of video, including problem hooks and solutions similar to these, but statics are still stubbornly outperforming video. Interesting.
So yeah, I've actually seen the exact same thing for a different ad account. Yeah, essentially with video, like what the pattern I've seen and observed is static can get you quite efficient efficient performance, but it doesn't really scale the account over long term. And video drives a lot of that like new audience and engagement, and static can kind of pick up a lot of those conversions that come in. So yeah, the short answer is you need to make better videos.
Need to go through this creative process. And Toby, you are going to be sharing the template. Oh, nice. Right, we'll pop that in the email too. One from Amy. Thank you for the session. Do you come into any bottlenecks with volume of assets needed, especially if relying on UGC? Perhaps one for you, Toby.
I don't, but I have quite a large pool of tried and tested creators. Fortunately, I did back at the start when I was building my pool of creators, but over time I've built a very large community, all nurtured, and then with that community as well, we do sort of like bonus-based systems. So essentially, every month, whoever's produced the best ad that performs the best gets like quite a sizable bonus as a creator. So it's sort of like treating the creators sort of like as part of the team as well, if that makes sense. So we're all sort of incentivized to keep creating winning ads. I know some companies that I work with where they have a big internal creative team and they use us sort of as a buff, essentially. So, you know, they're producing 20, 30 ads a week and they bring us in to help with their bottlenecks. So we produce an extra 20 ads a week or what have you as well. I think internally, it's easy to really up creative velocity. Because you know you're just there, you can keep filming, you can keep chopping, changing, you can do lots and lots of variations, but that tends to be where you tend to bottleneck on that creative diversity. Whereas with the sort of outsourcing UGC, it's great for creative diversity and all these ideas, but it's harder to get really big velocity for cheap, essentially, because you're not just there chopping and changing as you go.
So we have a few minutes left. I have a question. What is your one biggest piece of advice for everyone that's here listening today? What's one next step you would recommend they do?
Ooh. You know, for me, it's my business itself has changed a lot in the last year just because Meta's changed. And when I started out, it was all performance marketing, that sort of strategy on structure. And really, just from what I've seen and how I've scaled, you know, a lot of accounts over the last few months, massively month on month whilst maintaining CPA. And it's really just been by focusing on creative and data, essentially creative strategy and deep data, and just feeding those into one another and just constantly having that creative production to drive that has really just turned things around. So a big focus on that from my side is my tip for scaling your accounts.
Raph, what's one from you?
I think one that can be useful immediately for everyone here is I've recently had some static like winning ads by using this tool, this AI tool called Flux. And the reason it's like the first time I've had like AI images work for me. The reason it works is because you can put text, it'll generate text like well within the image. So you don't need to like overlay it, it'll be in the image itself. So yeah, I'd recommend doing a lot of like testing with that on either different messaging, different ideas, and then like leading those signals into more video production stuff. And then second tip, extra one, is yeah, do these in-person types of shoots with your team. You like in a lot of the ads that I've made in the past, some of the best ones have been improvised on that spot when I'm doing these shoots. You know, I have structured scripts and everything, but yeah, when I'm there and you kind of like, oh wait, what if we just try this thing? And then that ends up, you know, spending hundreds of thousands. So doing that, doing in-person stuff, it's hard to replace remote. I think.
And Raph, we have one more question,
Oh.
and we have 2 minutes. I'm going to squash
sorry.
from Gaston. Have you noticed a difference when working with real customers versus content creators? Do content creators sometimes come across as inauthentic? Sorry, Gaston, I've shortened your question.
It's a bit of a blend, really, and it depends what you're trying to produce. I like to do like customer-specific testimonials. We just did a shoot yesterday with a load of customers, and it's really great to get that sort of authentic feel. But in general, I do like to have a blend ultimately, because content creators can bring a style and a different form of authenticity, which is authentic to the platform that they're on. You know, it's not necessarily as authentic to the product, but it is authentic to where that creative is being posted, and it fits. And so it helps with that sort of more guerrilla marketing, creating content that they don't realize they're being sold to for the ads. So a bit of a blend tends to work well.
Yeah, and my top tip, I think, for the real customers, I did a lot of this. What I found to work the best was actually going to like these customers like houses and just like film with them. You can prompt it a lot better. I've never seen it work where you try to get it from them just remotely. If you can be interactive as possible, that's the best way I've seen it. You can kind of frame it. It is harder than a creator, because a creator can do any types of scenes or whatever, whereas a real person is a bit tougher.
How do you comp them if it's a customer? How do you
usually, yeah, so like when I was at Zoe, it was either we'd give them a year subscription, or we would just send them like an Amazon gift card of a certain value. I think we did like £100. So
I know we've hit 2 o'clock, and I know lots of people have to drop off, but as we can continue on for a couple of minutes, Oscar, we're going to answer your question. Well, I'm definitely not, because my answer would be absolutely hopeless. For your batch, did you use a balance between the creation of iteration assets and new concept assets? Any suggestions or best practice about that?
Is that me or Raph?
I think it's for you, Toby. Thanks for putting yourself forward.
Okay, sorry, let me reread the question. Did you use a balance between the creation of iteration assets and new concepts? Yes. So what I like to do with those sessions, I'm trying to come up with new concepts that are informed by all that data. What I also tend to do in my deep dives and my reports that I bring into the start of that session is I'll look at what's in the ad account, and typically you'll find you have ads that have really, really strong CPA and really bad hook rate. And you'll also have ads that have great soft metrics, like great hook rate and great hold rate, but a really bad conversion rate and a really bad CPA. And so what I'll say at the start of the session is, as well as doing all this, we also want to, we want to use this part of that ad, which is really strong for conversion, which is usually the middle and the end of the ad, and this part from that ad, which is really good from a hook and hold rate, so the soft metrics, which is normally the start of the ad, and splice them up. So we're going to cut off the head of that and stitch it onto the body of that. So I like to bring that in as well. Just into the data reports, and then we sort of do that in the background.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your questions, all your engagement, and a massive thank you to Toby and Raph. I have put in the chat that they are open for a one-to-one session. Just book in a time in the calendar link, which is in the chat, and I'll also share in an email afterwards. So today or tomorrow, we'll be following up with a video just for those that attended, Toby's template, and the opportunity to book in here, and we'll also include a link to Flux as well. So you've got all the useful insights there too.
Just put the ad board as well. I forgot. I said I'd do that. Yeah.
Just quickly contextualizing those 2 links. So for Raph, on all things, his tech platforms, getting access to Ad Manager and Ad Scan and utilizing them. And then if you want to book in with me, it's more on sort of creative strategy and those data reports on creating that feedback loop, and creators as well, if you want access to them.